Because otherwise, what's the differentiator?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that, you know, given the number of people that are out there, really, you need to be able to differentiate yourself. You really need, at the end of the day, when we're talking about this stuff, it's about getting learning outcomes. It's about creating behavioural change, and my firm belief is that the number one way to achieve that is you can have great materials, you can have all these other bits and pieces, but the quality of the facilitator is the number one reason, and the way we achieve a high quality is through specialisation. And if I might, going back, when we were talking about a situation of one-day programs and, you know, one-day face-to-face facilitated workshop, to me, we're really, again, we're dialing back to the point that James made in the first place, which is that my view would be that there is no one answer. The technology has allowed us to provide a huge number of different options, which is actually fantastic if done well. I believe face-to-face is the best way, but not necessarily a full-day workshop. But the point there is, I have clients where a one-day workshop or even a two-day workshop or more is the ideal for them because they've got 5 people in. Others are like James, they need something else. But the point is listening to what James is saying and producing a solution that is appropriate for his problem. I don't know that a one-day workshop is the best thing for everyone. In fact, I can be confident it's not. But it's the right solution for some.
James, I've got something for you. I'm thinking about a person who might be watching this, or a person who's sitting with us here, and they're saying, I've got something that I think CARDNO could really benefit from, and maybe even the same as Rhodes Business School could really benefit from, but I can't get through. And if you're thinking, I normally think about the in-time training. All of a sudden, you've got a pain point, you need to get your managers and you need to get your senior leadership team together, and you revert back to who you know. So you look through your list of providers and you go, View Consulting was one that you mentioned, and you look at someone else and you look, and they're on your list. And the people who are watching this are saying, but I have something of value, but I can't get through the barrier. How do we do that?
I think, you know, Sam mentioned it on the opening. Cold calls aren't always great. You know, we operate in a very lean, sensible structure. So that means our days are planned, and we have fairly busy schedules. So a more passive approach is good, and LinkedIn's a great example. Send a LinkedIn request and don't leave the generic message that comes up, hi, I would like to connect with you.
Yeah.
Because I just think, okay, not so much thought went into that then. Someone's just hit the connect button.
Guilty of that.
Maybe put a nice little personalised message in saying, hi James, you know, I've been referred to, I'll share the networks with dum-dum-dum, or maybe not. But these are the problems that I solve. Because I don't think in the language of solutions, because if I knew the answers, all of the answers, I'd probably be able to sort them out for myself. You know, a lot of the times I've got sort of the problem in my mind. So if somebody sent me that personalised message and said, these are the kind of problems that actually I solve, would that be of interest to you? Can we schedule a call at a time or a meeting at a time that suits? That's a great way to approach me, rather than somebody who, you know, the cold call comes in, and quite often I'll say, okay, I'd really like to speak to you, but I'd really like to schedule a time when we can do this properly.
So the days of, I've just happened to be in town and I made it to the bottom of the office, can you come down for a 5-minute chat? They're not good.
I'm going to be down your way.
I'm down your way. Yes.
What day are you going to be there? Any day that works for you.
That's it. Not good.
No, I don't think so. I just think that we drive in the outputs, we drive in to maximise the shareholder returns, which means that we're all very structured, we're very focused, and we all have very big days. So let's just put it in properly, and if it's that good of an idea, let's give it the airtime that it actually deserves. And the best way to do that is, whether it takes 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, let's get an hour in the calendar and let's talk about it properly.
So if I had a referral or a testimonial, would that be in a higher states for you to say, well, he's got a referral from Virgin Australia, let's get him in?
Yeah, referrals, absolutely. What's probably better if the actual person referring you gives me a call and says, hi James, you know, we've got this trusted partnership. I know somebody called Gerald, and these are the kind of problems that he solves. I think it's really worth a conversation. That's a great thing, that is. And you wouldn't have any problems there. I've given him your contact details. He's going to call you over the next week, or he's going to shoot you an email to schedule a time. That's a great way to approach.
Or at the very least, I mean, it's lovely to be able to say, for Virgin Australia, think I'm the best thing since sliced bread. I'm sure you will do too. But unless, I mean, the name speaks for itself to a degree, but unless James knows somebody there, then there's a limit to the impact that has. And of course, the best way, as James said, if I can get somebody that James knows and respects and trusts well to say, James, you really need to talk to this guy, that's great, and that's wonderful when that happens. But even if that person gives me permission, I mean, if I speak to somebody in that situation and I say, but I realise, James, would you mind if I said, we've done work together, you know how I operate, would you mind? That in itself, I think, is quite powerful as well, and is going to mean, I would suspect, I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I suspect me saying, hi James, I work with Gerald, will tell you the sort of stuff I do, and thinks that there'd be a lot of synergies, would you be happy to meet for a coffee, is going to be more powerful than going, I do this fab work over at Virgin. And that's as simple as asking. I mean, if you've got good relationships with people, I find, in fact, I don't think I've ever had somebody say, no, I'm not happy to do that. Maybe that's because I'm really selective and just ask the people, but no, I mean, people are generally happy to help out if you've been having a good relationship and producing. And before we go, I mean, James brought up LinkedIn, and it's something that, somebody that works in business development and has done for a long, long time. When LinkedIn came on the scene, I was blown away at what an amazing opportunity and what a powerful tool that was. And to me, it's not about this sort of superficial way of just, getting in the back door or anything like that. I mean, you create some genuine relationships that way. I make a point of really trying to keep LinkedIn as as professional as possible. And I mean, I'm getting on for 2,000 links on LinkedIn, and they're all people within that wider L&D and OD space, and it means when I share information, I get information. I'd like to think there's a real valid, mutually beneficial exchange of that. And I mean, not to put too fine a point in it, I think anyone looking to develop business who's not using LinkedIn, either or as a way of identifying potential partners and a way of introducing themselves to them, is mental. I mean, it's such a good tool.
The thing to add into that as well, though, that any service providers shouldn't be afraid to ask for referrals. I mean, because, if a program's being delivered well, the first thing I want to do is tell people about it, because, we've delivered this great program, we've had great business results, participants think it's fantastic, the business really like it, the results are... You want to talk about that kind of stuff, so you talk to a lot of people about it, but it's quite rare that I'll have somebody say to me, so, were you happy with the program, James? Yes. Do you know anybody else who might want a similar program to that? The first thing that I'd do is think about all the contacts that I have, because it makes me quite proud to pass those details on to the learning and development community and the people that I know who have similar roles to myself, to say, well, yes, this company or this individual did a great program for us. Have a look. These are the problems they solved. These are the results that they had, and move it on from there. So I think referrals are good to approach, but service providers should never be afraid to ask for that referral as well. Of course, when the time's right.
And if I get a response that, no, I can't think of anyone just yet, mate. Is that not a good...
I'd read quite a lot into that.
You read no, thanks very much. But no, I'll let you know if I do find someone.
Maybe you put them on the spot.
Maybe.
Maybe you've put them on the spot, and I could ask maybe you two some pretty sort of straightforward questions, but because you put on the spot and you wasn't prepared for it, your brain freezes a bit and you lock up. Of course, a lot of people, but there was too much in there. Maybe you need to jog the memory a bit. Do you know some people in similar roles of yourself? These are the kind of companies that I work for. These are the kind of problems I solve. Suddenly, it's getting easier for me to think. Yeah, I do know those kind of companies.
You know what me and you are going to be talking about afterwards, don't you? Who do you know who's might?
So when asking for referrals, maybe don't put people on the spot and just ask them out straight away, because that might not be a brick wall, a no. It might just be that you put somebody on the spot and, you know, they've closed, they're thinking about other things now and it's all that little bit too hard. Maybe just warm them up and jog their memory a little bit.
I think it's fair to say, as well, and I hope I'm not kidding myself here, but most of the people I know, when you are doing something like being responsible for the training of some huge number of people inside your organisation, you actually want to know who the good providers are. I think it's actually, I don't want to go too far with this, but it's actually a good thing for them to get a referral from somebody who they know and trust, who's saying, mate, you really want to do it. Because, as we talked about earlier, so much is riding on these decisions often. You know, I mean, it's your credibility within the organisation. And so I would strongly believe that, you know, if somebody you trust is saying, mate, this group here or this person here is fantastic, you want to know about it. It's a good thing.
Can you look in